Welcome to the Thomas
and Haley Show by doing everything blind.
Good Sunday afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Thomas and Haley Show. This is episode 2. And in this video, Haley and I and Chris are going to be talking about... why don't you say it, Chris, since it was your idea? You remember what it was?
Oh yeah, the different resources that people should have access to that are visually impaired and blind.
Right.
This is also relating to advocacy of how what advocacy is, why it's important for someone to do, especially if someone is blind or visually impaired.
Right, so that's what we're going to be talking about. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. So let's do it. Let's get right into this. If I could talk today, that'd be great. Okay.
So Chris.
Yep.
Since you proposed this topic before, this is a great one.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to share with our lovely fans that we have? Thank you so much. Would you like to tell everyone what, not exactly the dictionary definition, but like what your definition is of advocacy, especially for someone who's blind or visually impaired?
Basically, advocacy to me means learning how to take care of yourself the proper way when it comes to getting resources like for jobs, schools, independent living skills.
Right.
Learning how to handle yourself as a blind and visually impaired person.
And if you need something like a service, advocate for yourself. Because no one else is gonna do it for you but you.
Well, plus people can't read your mind because that would be kind of scary if they could. So of course this can range from like if you want to get a job and you have no clue what to do, do some research of who could possibly help you. And if your search says something like, "Oh, a job coach would be a perfect fit for this," you could do some more research of how do you get in contact with a job coach or anyone else under like those kind of titles.
Or even if there's a piece of equipment that you need or want, get in contact with your vocational counselor if you have one.
Exactly, and they'll most likely ask you like what is the need of this device, because they may have like a limited amount of this specific device they may have that they're letting you borrow per se.
Right.
And you got to be ready with a reasonable explanation for it, because they're not just going to buy it just for the sake of buying it.
Nope. Like with me, for an example, I actually don't even know where it is now. It's probably like in a bag somewhere, which it was a Victor reader, and I got it from the Services for the Blind in Massachusetts when I was living there at the time. And honestly, they didn't really ask me for an explanation. They just asked what would I basically do, and I was like, oh, my main use of it basically is to just read books on it, because that was the main use. Like, it wasn't necessarily for college or nothing like that. I read like my own favorite kind of books, like crime stories and such.
Yeah. And
even when I moved back to North Carolina, they didn't ask for that back, so I was like, well, I guess this is mine. So.
But what I was referring to is like, say like if you need a laptop and that you want JAWS or NVDA on it, you have to have a very economical and logical reason for them to put out that money for you to get you that piece of equipment.
Such as college, like I was in, or
right.
For your specific job that you're required to use a computer, and if you know that you will honestly need a screen reader, because either you have some vision but it's limited, it's better for you to use a screen reader, or if you're completely blind like Thomas and myself, and
yep.
you need a screen reader because obviously you can't see the screen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Thomas, I guess in your views, like, what is advocacy to you?
Whenever I whenever I think of advocacy, I always think of advocating for yourself for something that you might need or want. That's what I always think of.
Yeah. Or there's also some people who, unfortunately, they can't advocate for themselves because they don't know how, or they might have some, situations that are, that have them limited to the possible verbal skills to possibly do that. So that's why it's important for someone to have someone to advocate for you.
Right.
Like a counselor job.
Like a job coach, a counselor, or I mean, if it goes down far enough, maybe you might consider getting a lawyer. Depends on what it is.
Yep.
And in some cases, you might have to have somebody they get something that's known as power of attorney.
Right.
And in case for the viewers who don't know what a power of attorney is, would you gladly explain what that is?
Basically, it's where somebody it takes over your everyday expenses, like when you have to your income, your living expenses, like your bills, any debts you have. They have the legal right to handle that situation.
Right.
And sometimes having that is a good thing because it can relieve some stress off of you for like a financial burden, but also if you think that they're doing an overstep of like, hey, like I want to have some sense of independency, then you gotta speak up and advocate for yourself and say, hey, like at the time I wasn't fit to handle this stuff on my own, but here's my proof that that's what I'm working on to be able to do that.
Right.
And then of course if it's not solved just by a small conversation, then of course you can go to court for that too. But staying out of the courts is always a better idea because the process for those, they're long and annoying, and of course there's like fees and everything else. So
and a very important key thing to that when it comes to school or jobs, know your accommodations for the job that you need, because that's going to be very important in the interview process.
Oh yes, because the person that's interviewing you, they're not going to know. They're not going to know that, like for Chris, for example, he's able to read print for like a monitor, like visually, or use like the magnifier, stuff like that. They're not going to, know that based on just like looking at him going, he looks like a guy where he don't need nothing. Because he can look at me and all those things. Well, they don't know his limited amount of vision. They don't know that.
Right.
So if Chris knows if he needs those kind of things, or even if it's okay, Chris, if I can bring up the chair example.
Yeah, go ahead.
So where Chris works, it's kind of the kind of environment where you probably stand for a good amount of hours, which with Chris having cerebral palsy, CP, that it kind of tires him out a bit. So that's why he advocated to the right people for him to have a chair.
Right.
Because, of course, no one wants to, have physical pain due to the lack of accommodations from their day at work, So whether if it's something, minor like that, or something major like I need like the right technology, the right screen readers, or anything.
Right.
You just gotta communicate, advocate for yourself to the managers, the supervisors, or anyone.
And if there's
can talk to you about it.
And if there's a piece of equipment that you need for your job, definitely contact your vocational counselor if you have one and say, hey, this is what I need for the job. Can you get me this piece of equipment?
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, no one can read your mind.
Nope.
That
would be kind of cool and kind of freaky at the same time.
like for a prime example, say if you're getting a job at a front desk, like a help desk at a hotel or something like that,
right?
And you have a visual impairment, or you're totally blind,
right?
And you need speech software or screen enlarger software. As soon as you get that job, you have to contact your VR counselor, or if you have a job coach that day, so they can start the process of getting stuff sent to you.
Right.
Because the hard part about that is making sure you have the money to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Money. It's nice, but also it's our friend, but also our enemy, because a lot of things, especially technology that we need or any other form of accommodations, they are never cheap.
Nope.
Because my thing is, I don't understand why JAWS is so expensive.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Isn't it like $1,000 to install it on a computer?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Wow. It was 900, and then it went up to 1,000. And what I had at the time was, I had this thing where I was able to pay $90 for the whole year, which I should even have to do that, because, I mean, do you expect for people who are blind or visually impaired to have that kind of money? I would hope not, because with the screen reader narrator, which is already on the laptops, to me, I'm not a fan of it. I like NVDA better, but narrator or NVDA, they're both free. Narrator is already on the laptop, and NVDA you can download for free just by looking it up and downloading it.
Yep.
And the update's just free too.
And the good thing is, a lot of those commands that's on NVDA is very
similar to JAWS.
Right.
Yep.
Which, by the way, this is a little side note. I want to at least, promote us in a way.
Yeah.
But somewhat of what we're talking about regarding the technology aspect, subscribe to Low Vision Technology LBT, where we're most likely going to do the podcast now, since the place where we normally would do it, the platform is way different, and it seems like you have to record your audio somewhere else and then posting it there, which is stupid. So once we get back into that, we're gonna mainly be on the Low Vision Technology LBT YouTube channel. So subscribe, please, if you wish.
Yeah. But
and whenever I start the Haley Stunt Troll podcast, that's going to be on Talented HV for the same reason.
But the moral of the story here is, if there's something you need or you want, advocate for yourself and speak up.
Yep.
Speak up.
That's the moral of the story, folks.
Okay, why do y'all think a lot of teenagers and young adults are scared to do that?
Because they're afraid of the possible bumps in the road. So if they really need something, they think they're if it's a parent, a guardian, or even someone in a school, they might give them excuses we don't have this available, or this is too expensive for the school to do, which that might be true, but there might be sometimes some instances where the person, they don't bother, communicating with the right faculty or anyone like that. They just leave it there like it's nothing.
Yeah.
And if the person finds out that's what the case is, they can go to the principal, the supervisor, and if it's not getting solved there, then you would go to your parent, and then the parent would have to go through, unfortunately, legal action and be like, hey, they had this kind of technology available, because the parent would know about it, but of course they would tell their child, you have to advocate for yourself, because I'm not there at school with you. You want to advocate for yourself for certain technology or whatever tools you might need.
Yep. And
if you know they have it and they're refusing to assist you or help you, that's a violation of the ADA, the American Disabilities Act.
Yep.
And businesses, schools, any places like that, they don't want to get caught up in a legal loophole like that. Just accommodate the people, especially if they provide documentation of this is what I have, this visual impairment or physical disability or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Right.
If they show you proof, accommodate them.
Right.
And if you truly don't know how, then advocate based on the business or school behalf. Hey, we want to support this student, but we don't have the resources to do it. Can you help us?
Right.
Because that can happen too.
Yeah, sure. Because sometimes it takes you to go to a principal or a teacher, and then the next staff meeting, they'll bring their stuff up, and then they might be able to go to town hall meeting with like the governor or the mayor, and start the process through that way.
Yep.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yep.
Because I'm curious to know how many schools actually have technology for students like that nowadays.
Yeah.
You would think it'd be a good amount, since the majority of them are mainly focused on having like work done like on platforms like Canvas, Blackboard, and Moodle, and some other ones.
Yeah.
At least you would think so.
Yep.
Because you don't really hear much about people doing exams on pencil and paper anymore.
No, not.
There's some places that still do, but not a lot of them.
Nope.
Exactly.
Because the teachers and everyone else, they expect the students to know how to use a laptop. Even in middle school, in elementary school, they expect the kid to know how to use a laptop. My 9-year-old don't know how to use a laptop.
They're just,
or at least I don't think they should, because at least back when I was in the 4th grade, I was learning how to read and write Braille.
Yeah.
Yep. And I was
in computer class, but using a laptop wasn't our main use of technology to write and take notes and such.
Yeah, because when I was in elementary school, we were still writing papers with pen, pencil, and paper.
Yeah.
The laptops didn't come around to like late 90s, early 2000s.
That probably sounds about right. And I got my first laptop. When I say my first laptop, I mean like the laptop from the school I was in, because they basically rented out like laptops to the students, for school use only, obviously. And that was back in the 7th grade, so that's when I was starting to learn how to use one. And then getting into high school, I tried to figure out how to use a Mac. I couldn't figure it out, so I just went back to Windows because it's more accessible and less confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I was in high school, I had to go to instead of my base high school, I had to go to another high school because the base high school that I lived around didn't have that program. And I'm like, why wouldn't they have that program? That doesn't make sense.
You would think they would, right?
Right. But
Hey, Thomas and Chris, let me ask y'all something.
Yep.
This is sort of related to the whole advocacy conversation. Do you two believe that by federal law, all banks should be required to have large print checks, large print and Braille debit cards, and all schools should be required by federal law to have either like a special needs program or VI program or something?
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely.
Because why doesn't all schools and banks have those things? Because I don't know.
Because I'm gonna tell you what it is. A lot of the blind and visually impaired people don't stand up for themselves and say something about it. They want people to throw pity parties for them and just give it to them and not want to earn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
You can't just get stuff handed to you because that's not helping you or anybody else.
Oh no.
Nope.
That's definitely not helping. So the moral of the story is advocate for yourself, and if you honestly don't know how, then talk to somebody to either advocate for you or to guide you on how to do it.
Yep.
Or if there's a community that you live in and you know that something needs to be done and something's not being done because the people in charge of that community doesn't bother or don't care or they just or whatever, you need to stand for your community or gather your fellow people around you, and you need to stand up for what y'all deserve, what your rights are as people who are blind, visually impaired, or even any other like forms of disability, like whether if it's like dyslexia or anything else. Like, we're all human, just like you regular sighted people are.
Yeah.
If a sighted person can advocate for themselves, then so can blind or visually impaired people like we.
For sure.
Like me? Like we? Wow.
Like us.
Like us. Wow. That's the English stumble for the day, folks. I don't even know if those two were putting attention when I first did it. I was like, oh wow, I did not mean to say that.
So, thanks so much for watching, y'all.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe to
blind
for
the Thomas and Haley Show.
Yep.
Subscribe to Thomas and HB, where again the Haley's Thoughts Show podcast is going to be up there because honestly, I can't do it the way I thought I was going to be able to. And song covers are coming soon, and everyone has a talent. Anytime has skills and talent. And Chris, you want to say your stuff real quick?
Thank you for having me on here.
Of course.
Everyone be safe, be kind and love each other.
Yep.
And subscribe to Low Vision Technology LBT.
Yes.
Take care, y'all.
Take care. Well, guys, thanks for watching the Thomas and Haley Show. We sure hope you have enjoyed it.
Please like, comment, share, and turn on all notifications for Doing Everything Blind so you will not miss any episodes of the Thomas and Haley Show. And we'll see y'all next time.